It is time now for an update on the markets, thanks to our partners at Forsyth Barr, and I'm joined by Forsyth Barr investment strategist Zoe Wallace. Good morning to you, Zoe. We're in the midst of the US reporting season. What were the highlights from the past week?
We are indeed, and last week the focus was really on some of those big tech names reporting, which saw quite a wide divergence in terms of market reactions, to be fair. So we had everything from Amazon, who were up 10%, to Meta, who fell 14%. And look, part of that is just markets are continuing to look for the return on the huge amounts of investment that these firms are putting in around AI, artificial intelligence and data centers over coming, quarters and years. So big divergence in terms of what we saw. Some good results, though, in terms of generally most were quite positive, actually, versus market expectations. But as I mentioned, bit of a divergence in terms of market reaction. And
what is on the slate this week? Any big names?
Yeah, so it's actually sort of tailing off in terms of the international reporting season. We do still have a few big names worth keeping an eye on: Palantir, BP. But we're also actually starting to see the kickoff of Australian reporting season with some of their big banks reporting this week as well. So that will be attention turning to across the ditch. As well as that, we also have the Reserve Bank of Australia across the ditch, obviously, has an important move as we go through 2026. We're starting to see these signs of a cyclical upturn in New Zealand, and that will further support employment growth going forward.
Hey, just very briefly, there was that big meeting last week between President Trump and President Xi. They were discussing some things that are very significant for the US with regards to tariffs and rare earth minerals. How was that received?
Yeah, so it was a very busy week last week, and amongst that, plus a Federal Reserve policy decision and all these earnings announcements, the market was pretty happy to see that a trade truce has been agreed, certainly. That has been hanging over markets for some time, particularly following the escalation about a month ago between, Trump and Xi in terms of some pretty nasty rhetoric around putting in a 100% trade tariff on Chinese imports into the US, for example. So the resolution, or at least the temporary sort of step back in terms of the level of trade tension between those two countries, is perceived well. However, we are still probably a bit light in terms of the details, and it may still only be a temporary agreement rather than something that's kind of years ongoing. So we need to see more details around that. But for now, the markets are taking that relatively calmly and as a piece of good news.
Yeah, we always have to be cautious about getting ahead of ourselves, right? The proof is in the pudding when they need to sign that off. Thank you for the update, Forsyth Barr investment strategist Zoe Wallace. Now, coming up next...